y'all, and welcome to today's video. I am kind of a ball of nervous energy right now. I always get so nervous when we rank palettes together, but that is exactly what we're going to do today. I have a bunch of palettes I have been trying recently, and I'm ready to review them for y'all and rank them from worst. Even though I don't really have a bad palette this month, I have a lot of good palettes, but I'm going to rank them, how about this, from most favorite to least favorite. That's what we're going to do today. And if you are new here, hey, my name is Heather and makeup makes me happy. Here on my channel, we don't try to be perfect. We just want to have a good time with our makeup, whatever that means. Shimmer, glitter, ranking, eyeshadow palettes, we are here for it. So if that sounds good to you, I do hope that you will subscribe before you leave today, because I upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. So if you are into new makeup, this is the place to be, y'all. I just get nervous. I'm like, look, I have so many good palettes. How am I going to say that this is better than this? So before we get started, I want to say none of these palettes are terrible, okay? None of these palettes are bad. A lot of this is just based on my personal preference because, of course, it's my ranking. So I'm going to tell you, like, listen, this is my ranking. I'm going to come back at the end of this year, probably more like the beginning of next year, and rank all of the palettes I've tried for the full year. Yes, I am gonna do that, but I just like to sit down with y'all once a month. Once I have really tried these palettes, I've worn them more than once or twice, I have my full thoughts. I'm pretty sure all of the palettes I'm going to talk to you about today I have videos on, so make sure you check those out if you're interested. I'm just going to be giving you kind of a quick review and ranking today. But I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready now, so let's jump into it. Started, let me tell you what is on my face. I'm not going to tell you what is on my eyes. I'm going to let you guess, and I'll tell you, like, when we get to that palette, then I'll tell you what is on my eyes. I am wearing lashes today, though. If you're not new here, you know I don't wear lashes very often, but I'm wearing Ardell Wispies today. I'm wearing my Giorgio Armani Neo Nude Foundation. I'm in the shade 6. I am wearing my ABH Magic Touch Concealer in the shade 10. I'm wearing my Charlotte Tilbury Cream Contour Wand in medium deep. I have on MAC Give Me Sun Bronzer. I have on KKW and Mario Very Graceful Blush. My highlight is a new highlight to me. This is, look at this. It's a tombstone for Halloween. It's so cute. This is Lunatic Cosmetic Labs Here Lies Your Face. May your makeup forever rest in place. This is the Cemetery Shrines highlighter palette, and I mixed these 3 shades together. That is my glow. On my waterline, I have on ColourPop Spare Time eyeliner. Down here in my lip, honestly, I cannot even tell you. It's so many things. I really wanted to wear this ColourPop Hocus Pocus Tonight We Fly lipstick, but this formula in dark colors, like it never built up to full opacity, so I wiped it away. I had a little bit of I have like 5 or 6 lip colors on trying to fix this one. Now let's get into it. Again, none of these palettes are bad. I'm not saying any of these palettes are bad, but some had to come in lower. Like, if there's going to be one at the top, that means there have to be some lower. So I'll pop the numbers on the screen, but this month I tried the Geology Cosmetics PILBARA palette. This is a very pretty palette. We have some earth tones here. So we have these neutral shades, some kind of terracotta shades, and then we have these green tones. I have to say, the standout shadow for me is this one right here. This is a beautiful, shimmery, sparkly shade. It is so beautiful. It has a shift to it to where, depending on how the light hits it, it looks like it's a different color. The reason this didn't rank higher for me is because I personally like a palette that does go very light, like this one does, that has some mid-tones, but I also like some really deep tones. But again, this is a beautiful palette. I think the formula is really nice. I did have trouble working with this shade right here. I feel like it's a little hard pressed in the pan, so I kind of had to dig my brush in there to get enough shadow to actually pay off on the brush and come on the lid. But I do think, again, I think this is a really pretty palette. This is the first palette from this brand. Again, the brand is Geology Cosmetics. I want to try more from them. When they launch another palette, I'll definitely be paying attention, see if it's something that I want. But look, I think there are some really nice shades in here. If this color story calls to you, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think it's really pretty. I think the shape of the palette is fun. The color story is fun, and I really like the theme. Okay, next up, I feel like the ranking just gets harder and harder as I go, and I think some of you may be kind of surprised because this is a really good palette, and this is the BH Cosmetics Doja Cat Mega Palette. I did a video showing you 4 looks with this palette, and I did swatches, everything like that. This is a huge palette. This palette was $36. And if you know Doja Cat, if you have seen her makeup, I feel like this palette really does fit her makeup aesthetic. I feel like I see her a lot of times in these kind of lighter tones that really pop on her and look pretty. For me, I really enjoyed a lot of the mattes that I used in this palette, and I think some of the shimmers were amazing, intense shimmers. Specifically, like these two are just so nice and beautiful. This one as well. But I do feel like there were some shades in this palette, like this one right down here, that were a bit lackluster for my personal preference. So let me swatch. You can see the top 3 shades are just really intense, whereas that bottom purple isn't quite as intense. I know it's a different formula. I just feel like for me, this palette was a really good BH Cosmetics palette. I don't feel like it is as amazing as some of their others, but that's just me. I still really like this palette, and I hope you don't take the fact that I'm putting it lower in the rankings to mean me say like I don't like this palette, because I do really like this palette. I'm very glad I have this in my collection. I'm so happy I bought it. Like this shade right here, beautiful, but I do feel like as we get higher in the rankings, you'll see some of these palettes are just super duper amazing. Okay, next up I have the Sapphire for September. This is another BH Cosmetics palette. I really like this palette so much. This is one of my favorites that they've done in their Birthstone series so far. I will say, as I always do with these palettes, I wish it didn't have a pressed glitter. I don't really like the BH pressed glitter formula. I don't think it's great. All the other shadows in here though, beautiful, amazing. This shade right here, Sapphire, is so beautiful. Gosh, I still have makeup remover on my hand. Let me do a swatch on the other hand, because that definitely was not true to the shade. There we go. There it is, blended in more. You can see how beautiful and metallic it is. I really love this shade right here called Cool. Like, they're so beautiful. The mattes in here are so nice. This silver in this palette is also really good. These palettes are $9. Now, I was telling y'all recently in a video that these palettes ship free, at least for me here in the US. But thankfully, one of y'all commented and let me know it only ships free on the first day of the month. So the day it releases, you can get free shipping on these, but that is only on the first of the month. So otherwise, you do have to pay for shipping. So that's a clarification. I did want to kind of update y'all and let you know. These mattes, I think, are beautiful. I just overall think this is such a pretty palette. I've really enjoyed playing with it, and I did order October's. It's already shipped out to me. As soon as I get it, I will be reviewing it for y'all. Okay, this next palette surprised me, okay? It really did surprise me, and that is the Too Faced Cinnamon Swirl palette. Before this, I had not bought a Too Faced palette in like 5 years, but I love cinnamon rolls, and this theming pulled me in, and I was like, you know what? I want to know, like, if y'all are interested in this. A lot of y'all told me that you were. And I am so surprised with how good this palette is. If you are looking for a warm, neutral palette, this is a beautiful palette. The mattes were very buildable, very blendable, very pigmented. It just worked so well. I do say this is an all neutral palette, even though we have this one little pop of color. This purple is pretty. It's not the, like, I wouldn't buy it for the purple. It's not the best purple I have. This is for warm neutral lovers who want a cinnamon roll scented palette in cute, adorable packaging. It is that classic Too Faced tin packaging. I like this. I'm very happy that I kind of went outside my comfort zone, my makeup comfort zone. I bought a neutral Too Faced palette and I had a great experience with it. I have reached for this for work, for just quick, easy, basic neutral looks. I think this is really pretty. I like that it goes really light to really dark. I do have a video up showing 2 looks with this palette in case you're interested in. Next up, I have the ColourPop Sonic Bloom palette. This is, first of all, the packaging, beautiful. For a while, this was an Ulta exclusive, but it now is at the ColourPop site as well, so I will link it at both places for you. Everything I talk about, I will link down below. If you do choose ever to shop through my affiliate links, thank you so much. This palette, to me, is a great end of summer, let's go into fall type of palette, because as we're hanging on to the last days of summer, I know it's now like officially fall, but it's still pretty hot here in Mississippi. This palette, you can get that kind of summery look. If you're somebody who likes to be inspired by the season, you can definitely get those summer looks while also using these beautiful mattes to transition into fall. Mattes aren't the funnest to swatch, but look at how pretty and richly pigmented those are. You also get like this kind of shifty duochrome type of shade that I think is so beautiful, like a blue-brown shift there. The shadows in here are so beautiful. I did a few looks with this palette here on my channel, and I love that we get neutrals and colors. I love a half neutral, half colorful palette. I love the sleek cardboard packaging. It's just, I love it. Okay, now we are into the top 5 palettes. These palettes I really enjoyed playing with and wanted to continually reach for. So coming in at number 5 is the ColourPop Tinkerbell palette. I really liked this collection from ColourPop. I love the glitter on the packaging. I just think the artwork is so beautiful. It's heavy, like it has some weight to it. You have a nice, beautiful mirror on here with the design. But outside of the fact that it's a cute Tinkerbell collection, I love this color story. I love that there are 4 beautiful mattes. I love that they go very light and neutral to colorful and deep down here. These shimmery metallic shades, like this shade in particular from ColourPop, these are some of ColourPop's best shadows in my opinion. Like those right there, do you see how intense they are? I just think they really nailed it with this. You can stick right here to this top row. I did a look on my channel, like a full video on the whole collection, and then I also posted a second look with this over on my Instagram where I really stayed more neutral, and I like that this palette does that. You know, of course, immediately you look at it and you think green, and these shadows really are something special, but I like that you get these 4 shades that can take you more neutral. And I just overall, I love the formulas in here. I love the packaging. I think this is one of ColourPop's best palettes. Next up, I have the Nomad Cosmetics Haunted Europe palette. This palette is so cool. So it has this shift on the front. So it goes from like this pretty girl to like a shift where she's like holding a skull and she's veiled, and it's so cool for this time of year. This palette says it is inspired by the dark fairy tales of Europe, and I see that totally. I ordered this from Nomad's site, and I've had such a great experience shopping with Nomad. I've bought so many palettes from them now, and I just really love this color story. There's something so earthy about that, and I feel the inspiration behind the palette. I feel the fall haunted Europe vibe when I look at this. I love that we get some really deep colors, like this deep navy, this deep green, this deep cool toned brown. Again, I do have a video with swatches and everything. I'll show you close-ups of the imprints. I just think it's fun. The imprints in this palette, like the coffins, the cemetery, the castle, the Nomad logo, look, everything is so well thought out. There's a great mix of shimmers and metallics and mattes. I think this palette is amazing. Like, Nomad really knocked it out of the park with this one, in my opinion. I love the color story. I love these like silvery gray shade. It's so beautiful. This is a palette that definitely makes me go, okay, I want to play with that palette. I want to reach for that palette. I want to try new color combos. I just think it's so well done. It's so beautiful. Like, everything about it, the packaging to the inside, to the color story, the inspiration. I'm here for this whole palette. It's so good. Coming in at number 3, I think some of y'all are gonna be surprised maybe that this isn't my number 1, but this is the BPERFECT Stacey Marie Carnival The Antidote palette. I love this palette. Listen, BPERFECT makes amazing eyeshadow formulas. I love the BPERFECT eyeshadow formula. In the past, they have, like, they, as in BPERFECT and Stacey Marie, have done rainbow palettes, color, intensity, and then they gave us the Antidote. This, I love this. If you are looking for a palette that's going to give you deep purpley shades, deep dark green shades, neutral shades, this is it. This is so beautiful. You have, I don't even know if I would say this is half neutral, half colorful. I would say this is like 1/3 neutral, 2/3 colorful, because you get this orange, the yellows, the greens. The greens are so good. If you are looking for a grungy palette, this is it. This is it. It is huge. So if you are not into big palettes, of course, this is not going to be something you're interested in. But I love this. I love the pinks and the deep reds, the deep purples. Like I said, look at that yellow. It's so beautiful. This is the BPERFECT formula that I know and love. The quality is amazing. I love the packaging. I think it's so cool. I love that BPERFECT and Stacey Marie went away from the bright rainbow to the darker, grungier side. I really hope for round, what are we on now? Round 5. If they do round 5, I would love to see like a collection of small palettes. This palette, it's a favorite. It's a favorite. What can I say? It is a favorite. Coming in at number 2 goes to the Natasha Denona Retro palette. This palette is so good. I love Natasha Denona's formula. I love her eyeshadows. I have so many of her palettes. I do have a ranking video up on my channel just with my Natasha palettes that will kind of give you reviews on all the palettes. I just love her. I love the Natasha Denona formula, and I was so happy to see her come out with this palette because this is cool berry tones, and I think it is beautiful. I love that we get these cooler tones, and there's the ability to go neutral with this palette, and there's also the ability to go very deep and dark and sultry and berry and impactful. The formulas in here are so good. There are a lot of her cream to powder formula in this palette, which I personally love. I love her cream to powder formula. It is so good. It is so blendable and buildable, and I feel like it just really makes this palette so versatile. You have these very sparkly shades in here that I think are just beautiful. I think I have 3 looks up on my channel using this palette. It's just so beautiful, and I've been reaching for it a ton. I feel like even though I've only had it for what, like a month now, you can see that I've been using this palette. Like, you can see the dips in the pan. You can see where my brush has been in these shadows because I really enjoy working with it so much. I love the price point. I think this is around the $65 price point, if I'm not mistaken, and it's just beautiful. Okay, number 1 goes to ODEN'S Legendary DIVERSA collection. I'm grouping them all together because I can't say one is better than the other. These are all beautiful. They are all amazing. This is the number 1. ODEN'S for me makes amazing eyeshadow formulas. I love ODEN'S eyeshadows. I think they're some of my favorites in my collection for sure. So I'm going to talk about all 3 of these. They're all at the number 1 spot. Listen, it's the Legendary DIVERSA collection. It can come in at the number 1 spot. I do have a video up showing you a look with each of these and then a look with them all combined. So 4 looks up on my channel with these. So let's just go in alphabetical order. How about that? First off, we have the Giant Wolves palette. This is done in collaboration with Annette. That's why I'm mentioning it first. A for Annette, okay? All of these I love. This one is so beautiful. This is what I used to create my look today. This is a very green look. So Annette curated a very deep, dark color story. You get a mix of mattes and shimmery, shifty shades. I can't even say these are metallics. These are like intense sparkle shadows. Of course, I have this green all over my lid today. These mattes, everything is just so beautiful. This shade right here feels kind of like a cream in the palette, and it shifts so many different colors. This is such a multi-chrome. You'll definitely have to go and watch my video to see it in action, but it shifts from blue to green to pink to red to white to blue. It's just so beautiful. Next up comes the letter F for Fancy Face. So Tina is the Fancy Face, and she created the Hummingbird palette, which is so gorgeous. Now this is going to be brights. This palette, again, goes very light to very dark, but overall we have that bright tropical theme. Tina is from Jamaica. Jamaica is one of my favorite places in the world. My husband and I think, have spent a total of like 7 or 8 weeks in Jamaica. We just love it. And when I see this palette, I see Jamaica. Like, I see her inspiration. I'm going to swatch these 2 shades right here. Just look at that. So beautiful. She created such a great palette. I love that we have blues and reds and greens, and then this is a multi-chrome as well down here in this corner of her palette. It's like a purpley gold pink shift. Like, it's such like a unicorn shade. I love that with this Legendary DIVERSA collection, ODEN'S let the creators have multi-chromes, because I think that is so incredibly special. Not only are you getting amazing mattes, beautiful sparkly shimmers, you are getting intense multi-chromes, and Tina did such a beautiful job on this palette. Next up, I have the Red Dragon palette done in collaboration with Judy. Now, I didn't say this earlier, but all 3 creators, I will link their channels down below. I highly recommend that you go and check them out. Subscribe, watch their videos, because they have done beautiful looks with these palettes. Judy's palette is so beautiful. Like, that is the word I think of when I see this palette. Of course, my eye goes to this bright red, which fits right, of course, in with that red dragon theme. I love it. You have this beautiful green. Look at that. It's so beautiful. It would look so good even with the look that I'm wearing today. And then Judy has these multi-chromes too that I think are so special and shifty. Like this one goes from like a red to a green to kind of almost like a brown neutral shade. Like it's so fun and intense. I just love it. I think the creation of colors is so beautiful. I've reached for this palette so many times. It's so good. I love all three of these palettes. I think whichever one you have, if you bought one of these, you will create gorgeous looks. I love using them on their own, but I really love putting all three in front of me and being inspired to mix and match the palettes. That is just, it's really fun to me. I love mixing and matching palettes. I love that ODEN'S wanted to spotlight different creators from different backgrounds, different cultures. I think that's something we don't see a lot of, and I just really think it's so special. The artwork on all of these palettes is incredibly, incredibly beautiful, and that's why they come in at the #1 spot. Thank you so much for watching today. I had fun. I would love to know, did you buy any new palettes this month? Were they your favorites? Did you shop your stash? You know, I'm always here to encourage you to shop your stash. Love the makeup you have. Go through, maybe if you have 2 palettes that you love, pull them out and do a palette bingo. Challenge yourself to mix and match the colors. Maybe dip into those shades that you don't use very often. I always encourage you to love and use the makeup that you have. I hope that you enjoyed this ranking. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you did, so I know that you want to keep seeing these every month. Thank you again for watching. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye!